Let's start with something that's helpful for you this fall and holiday season. Support comes from ZBiotics, okay? Welcome everybody to the program, by the way. You know, I like to keep it real, all right? And if I'm going out for a couple of drinks, there's one thing that I always reach for first, and it's called ZBiotics, pre-alcohol. This little pre-alcohol probiotic is a total game changer, okay? So here's the deal. When you drink, your body creates this toxic byproduct in your gut, and that's what makes you feel rough the next morning. ZBiotics was made by real scientists, PhDs, to help break that down before it ever builds up. So I tried it the first time for a dinner party, had my first drink, maybe two, but my first drink was what? The pre-alcohol prebiotic. And the next morning, I felt great, clear, on my game. So now I never forget it. So if you've got parties, if you've got tailgates or holiday toast coming up, make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Go to zbiotics.com/lemon and use the code LEMON for 15% off of your first order. They even have a money-back guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose except that rough morning. ZBiotics, drink responsibly. Good morning, everyone. Let me know on YouTube if you hear a strange echoing there. But good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show. Welcome to Hot Topics, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on the East Coast, 9 a.m. Central, and then Mountain, 8, and then 7 out in Los Angeles. I have to talk to you about a bunch of things this morning, but before I get to it, I just want to honor the men and women who fought for this country, what this day is all about. This is a holiday. This is Veterans Day. And there's no one better to honor our men and women in uniform and people who sacrifice for this country, some of them who paid the ultimate sacrifice. There's no better person to do that than a president of the United States. And the best president of the United States to do it is this president who took a veteran's flight and surprised some of our veterans, our forever president. Watch.
And people almost booing you.
I'm real happy that now with current troops that come back from deployments, they get welcomed back really nice because that's what should happen. So it's being recreated in this flight and it makes you feel good.
I haven't flown for 50 years. And I was in the military from 72 to 76. Our country puts these things up, these memorials, honoring the men and women that served. You couldn't ask for something greater.
This has been going on over 20 years, and it started out very small, and now a lot of states have their own hubs, and they raise their own money and they set up the whole flights. They set up where they're going to go, the buses, the flights. Flight like today from Madison, Wisconsin will come in the morning and leave in the afternoon, and we'll get them around to every monument we can within reasonable time. Every city in this country has got veterans in it, I guarantee it. Go up and say thank you, and just tell them how much you appreciate them.
Let me just say right here, we appreciate them. I have veterans in my family. My late sister is a veteran. My dad was a veteran. My stepdad was a veteran. Many members in my family. And wow, all those people I mentioned are no longer here. But yeah, the forever president of the United States, Barack Obama, doing something that no sitting or former president has ever done. And that is meet that veterans flight and greet all those people. Did you see how happy they were to meet Barack Obama? There's none of that vitriol about, as a fake president and all of that gross. Just very humble. The president was, and just very grateful. And it was just, man, I miss that. Don't you miss those times? Be honest. Even if you're a maggot, or MAGA, don't you miss that when we were all at least not so divided? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not being Pollyannish. I'm not romanticizing the past, because I know how people felt about Barack Obama and all of the vitriol and the hate that he got and the racism in his face and all of the, the racist groups that popped up and their memberships increased and all the threats. I know all of that. But you know what he did? Barack Obama has famously done this. And that's what he did regarding his time as president of the United States. So that's not where we are now. And so I want to start with something to show you where we are. That's what we would like to be. That's what America really should be about. But unfortunately, we're in a time right now where Donald Trump tries to shape the narrative, even when the narrative is not in his favor. And that was part of the big problem that I had with Democrats, is that they don't understand that if you're explaining, you're losing. And I don't believe they understand what the American people want right now. So as we go through this show, and by the way, we're going to have a very special guest I'm going to go and have breakfast with in just a moment here, in just about 15, 20 minutes. But look, yes, the Senate did vote last night to reopen the government. The shutdown is technically ending, but reopen for what? What were we reopening for? And what was that whole thing about? 8 Democrats crossed over to make it happen. And now everyone in Washington, D.C. is calling this a big win, right? Saying that, we got people rehired, we restored SNAP benefits, we kept the lights on. Okay. But those are basic functions of government, things that never should have really been used as leverage in the first place. Something that could have been handled without a shutdown. And what's worse, look, I'm so sick, please. Democrats, leaders, anchors, pundits, or whatever, who are out there trying to, I don't know, do you not want to anger or upset your Democratic audience by pretending that this is some win? Stop it. The American people aren't buying it. I've been speaking to people for the last 24 or however long it has been. It happened on Sunday night, 48 hours, almost 48 hours that I've been speaking to people. Democrats aren't buying this, no matter how hard you try to explain it away. They feel vulnerable. They feel lost. They feel like they don't have true leadership. They feel like this was an exercise in futility. They're not buying any of this. And what the worst thing, the things that they settled on, Mike Johnson, who's a House Speaker, has already said that he's not promising a single vote on healthcare, on ACA subsidies, on anything that actually helps people survive. So what did Democrats really win? I'm sorry, Democrats, you didn't win anything. I'm sorry, all the folks who are out there. Please stop it. No one is buying it. It makes you look dumb. I've been talking to Democrats since last night, and they are not celebrating. They are deflated. They know that they lost the narrative again. This isn't politics of the 1990s. It's not the politics of the 2000s. This is the politics of the aughts, of the 2010s, of even 2016 or whatever. This is not that. We are living in a world where Trump and MAGA aren't just reshaping the narrative here. They're rewriting history to make their lies sound like the truth. And Democrats just keep trying to sound reasonable. They keep saying, we need to bring people together. We need to work with on the other side. They're out of their gourds. If they think that the other side doesn't want to work with you, they don't want to work with them. Mike Johnson has said he's not budging. So compassion, Democrats, without courage isn't leadership. This is an illusion that you have, a virtue signal that doesn't play in a world that we're in right now. The worst sort of virtue signaling. We did this in any movement that has happened, from the civil rights movement to the women's movement to the LGBTQ movement, same-sex movement. All of those movements came with sacrifice. People sacrificed everything. Some people even lost their lives. Pain and suffering comes when you're trying to change things for the greater good, for the long term, and you don't become obsessed with the short term of it. Short-term suffering. I understand that people are suffering. But I look back on a movement that my parents and my forefathers went through, for not only through slavery, but for civil rights. And I had a talk last night at the Politics and Prose bookstore with Nicole Hannah-Jones and April Ryan. And the consensus from everyone in the room is that everyone is too comfortable. Everyone is not willing to sacrifice something. All those people who say, man, if I was alive during the civil rights movement, I would have done this and I would have done that and I would have been standing out there, and nobody is doing anything except worrying about, oh my God, this is so painful right now. And we're not trying to help, for the most part. I'm generalizing here. We're not trying to help people. There were people, as Nicole Hannah-Jones said last night, who did something. Some people could just cook for the movement. Some people could just give people rides to work for the movement. Some people could just sew people's tattered buttons for the movement. Some people could just make signs for the movement. Some people supported families financially for the movement. And now we're worried that, oh my God, it has been 40 days. It took decades to get the civil rights movement, to get people to understand how important this was. And so if you look back in history, the short term of the suffering does not compare to the long-term win of what happens in the future, when everyone gets affordable health care, where everyone is entitled to health care. Anyway, Democrats, look, you need to understand that every movement that's ever mattered in this country, civil rights, as I said, the labor movement, women's rights, it came with sacrifice, pain, fear. People lost paychecks, they lost jobs, they even lost their lives. And they understood that progress demands endurance. So Democrats say that they're a party of compassion, and they are. But compassion without conviction is just performance. And while they're performing, Trump is performing too. Only his act is stronger because it's louder, it's meaner, it's shameless. And last night on Fox News with Laura Ingraham, he lied about everything: the economy, immigration, the shutdown, his own record. He claimed his presidency was the most successful ever. He lied about deportations. He said that they were humane. He tried to rewrite the history, the chaos that they have caused, and people believed him. Fox News and his supporters will believe him. As a matter of fact, his approval rating is up from his last administration. Slightly, within the margin of error, but it's up. Or at least people believed that he believes it. You feel me? That's the difference. Trump lies with conviction. Democrats tell the truth with apology and explanation. So yes, the government is reopening, but the story, the one Americans will remember, belongs to Donald Trump. And that's the real loss right here. Now to that insane interview of Donald Trump, just to explain. Donald Trump talking about the economy and affordability, and he's saying that it is a con from Democrats. Watch.
The economy was listed as a top concern. I know you know this, for voters in New Jersey, New York, Virginia. And I know you've been all over the affordability issue today and for the last several months. Eggs, gas, a dinner cost for Thanksgiving way down. But other things, as you noted, have gone up. Beef, coffee, auto repairs. Is this a voter perception issue of the economy, or is there more that needs to be done by Republicans on Capitol Hill, or done in terms of policy?
More than anything else, it's a con job by the Democrats. They're saying, they just have to say, you know, they put out something, say today costs are up. They feed it to the anchors of ABC, CBS, and NBC, and a lot of other, and, you know, CNN, and et cetera. And it's like a standard. I'll never forget they had used a word like manufactured. Do you remember the word manufactured? It's a manufactured economy. Nobody uses that word. Every anchor broke through manufactured. They do exactly what they say. It's such a rigged system. So are you ready? Costs are way down. Gasoline is going to be hitting $2 pretty soon, or around $2. Gasoline is at $2.70 now. And it was at $4.50 under Biden, under Sleepy Joe. When gasoline comes down, when energy comes down, and everybody agrees energy's down, we're drilled, drill, baby, drill. We're going like wild. We produce more.
So there's Donald Trump. Have you seen gas prices? Donald Trump, so we need to fact check that on gas prices. They may be down in some areas. Energy prices are not down. Have you checked your utility bill? And yet Donald Trump sat there last night with a straight face. Laura Ingraham, she did push back on him. I have to give her some credit here, slightly, pardon me, but not nearly enough. And there he's out there lying again, and people will believe it. Now, remember, I told you from his first administration, his approval rating is up, but down from the start of this administration. So he's only competing with himself to have the worst approval numbers. And but with the economy, down. His numbers for the economy are down. People remember when people thought that Donald Trump and Republicans, they're the best for the economy. They don't think that so much anymore. Donald Trump proposing something that is startling and that will cost Americans more money in the long run if you listen to the business analysts, because they'll have to pay more interest and for a longer time. A 50-year mortgage, here it is.
Housing costs are still out of reach. And another thing that your administration is trying to tackle, many Americans, the average age of first-time home buyers are now up to age 40, which is sad. The country you and I grew up in.
I inherited that. Look, you have to understand.
Right, but let me get to the question, though, because your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So a significant MAGA backlash, calling it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans to own a home outright. Is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you go from 40 to 50 years, and what it means is 50, you pay something less from 30. That some people had a 40, and then now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit. But the problem was that Biden did this. He increased the interest rates, and I have a lousy Fed person who's going to be gone in a few months, fortunately.
Okay. Again, Donald Trump. Gas prices are down slightly, not nearly to the point that he's talking about. Year over year, slightly, but not much. And not nearly as low as he is talking about. Energy prices are not down. Wait until people start getting their bills for the winter to warm their houses. Donald Trump is rambling about Trump Care health insurance in this interview. Watch.
On Obamacare, you raised several times during this shutdown debate that it's clear that this was never going to work without these massive subsidies. Now they wanted to continue the COVID subsidies. So given the fact that Obamacare really can't survive as they thought without these subsidies, what next?
Well, I watched Obama from when this...
Okay, remember I told you what the real thing was? That they wanted to get rid of Obamacare and they couldn't do it. They didn't know how to do it successfully because they didn't have a plan. This is the idea all along. Democrats are not going to get anything on healthcare. They're not going to get any subsidies on Obamacare, on the Affordable Care Act. Not going to happen because they're trying to kill Obamacare, and that's what they're successfully doing. And Democrats want to say that they are winning. They're not winning. Back it up a little bit and listen. Here it is.
As they thought without these subsidies. What next?
Well, I watched Obama from when this thing came about. As you know, I opposed it very strongly. Unfortunately, we had a couple of negative votes, which should never have happened. But I said it's going to be a disaster, and I was exactly right. The premiums have gone up like rocket ships, and I'm not just talking about recently. I'm talking about for years they've been going up. And he said premiums will go down. Everything will be wonderful. It's horrible health insurance at a very high price. And what I want, and probably what you're alluding to, is the fact that I want, instead of going to the insurance companies, I want the money to go into an account for people where the people buy their own health insurance. It's so good. The insurance will be better. It'll cost less. Everybody's going to be happy. They're going to feel like entrepreneurs. They're actually able to go out and negotiate their own health insurance. Yep. And they can use it only for that reason. That's the beauty, only for that purpose. And if we did that, that would be so exciting. Call it Trump care, call it whatever you want to call it, but anything but Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster, just like he was as a president.
Mm-hmm. Now, we know that's not true because the economy was much better under him than it is with Donald Trump. People had health care that he got, and people are actually really liking Obamacare. And the last part of that is what he wants. He would rather people call it Trump care than Obamacare. And why would he have to say that he was horrible as a president? Because he actually wasn't horrible as a president. That's why I tell Democrats, he keeps shaping the narrative. And people are going to believe it. And also, have you ever tried to negotiate your own healthcare terms? It's actually better when you have people helping you to do it rather than you doing it yourself. You've ever sat there? I've sat there with older people. I've sat there with my parents or whatever, looking, which one of these packages? What's this? And you're trying to do it yourself when it would just help if you had someone to help guide you through it. And that's what most Americans have with Obamacare now. But Donald Trump doesn't want that. He wants people to feel like an entrepreneur. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. By the way, we need to talk about Donald Trump's cognitive decline. Because in this interview, you're going to hear coming up, you're going to hear Donald Trump get confused about certain things. And I'm wondering, like, where are all the books and the articles about Trump's cognitive decline? Why hasn't anyone written about that? But first, we're going to get a word from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by Ollie. As you guys know, my dogs are my family. Boomer, Barkley, and Gus Gus, little Gus Gus, they run the house. So when it comes to their food, I don't play. I don't play around with it. That's why I switched to Ollie. It is fresh human-grade food made with real ingredients that you can actually see. Beef, chicken, vegetables, slow cooked, and designed by veterinarians or vet nutritionists. So even Barkley, even Gus Gus, even Boomer, they all used to be the pickiest thing ever, right? They clean their bowls now every single time. And the best part, Ollie customizes the meal plan for your dog's needs. Just take their 30-second quiz and they do the rest. Plus, the Ollie app connects you with real experts that can help you and your pup stay healthy and happy, okay? So head to ollie.com/lemon, take the quiz, and use the code LEMON for 60% off of your first box. And if your dog doesn't love it, Ollie's going to give you your money back. No questions asked. That's OLLIE.com/lemon. Okay, everyone, it is getting cold out there. So support comes from Cozy Earth. You ever have that one quiet holiday moment, tree lights on, house finally calm, maybe a little music, and you're curled up under a blanket thinking, this right here is peace, man. I'm protecting my peace. This is amazing. Maybe the doggy's in there and it's just, right? It could be snowing outside. I don't know. That's the vibe that Cozy Earth gives me all year long. Their sheets and blankets are made of bamboo viscose, soft, breathable, and they keep you cool all night long. So I got them as a gift, and now I have been paying it forward ever since. My mom and my family, they are obsessed. So Cozy Earth even gives you a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. So you really can't go wrong here. And listen, Black Friday came early. So stack my code DON on top of their statewide sale for up to 40% off. That's CozyEarth.com. Use the code DON and then wrap the ones you love in a little luxury or treat yourself.
In October, you were asked about ending wars, and you talked about that, and you said, I don't think there's anything that's going to get me into heaven. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. A lot of Christians were sort of sad to hear that, because Christ came to forgive our sins, if you believe that as Christians, and they open heaven to all of us. So don't you believe that?
So the other day, the New York Times did a story and took that statement totally literally. When I made that statement, I was being funny, sarcastic. You know, it's bad for a politician to be sarcastic. I said, I'm never going to make it to heaven. A big audience. I don't think I can make it. I don't think I qualify, you know, etc. I was kidding. I was having fun. I don't know if I will or not. I don't know. But the Times did a story, a little guy named Peter Baker, who is the sycophant to Obama. You know, he wrote the Obama book, like Obama was a good president. He was one of the worst. Biden was the worst. Obama was top 3 or 4. But think of this. I make this statement, and the Times has a front page, Donald Trump is now questioning his life and his this and his that. I said to a group of people, a large group, I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm not so sure, but I'm going to fight to me, et cetera, et cetera. I was having fun.
So welcome back, everyone. I'm here this morning having breakfast with my friend of the show, Monique Presley. We had to play together this morning. Yes. How are you? Are you ready to order breakfast and then talk about what's happening with this president? Did you happen to see the interview last night that he did?
No, but I saw your highlights a few minutes ago.
And?
He's extra special.
Why do people fall and believe the stuff that he says?
I don't think people believe him.
You don't think even his own supporters believe him?
No, they just don't care.
Do you know what you like to have for breakfast?
I do.
Go ahead.
I'll have what he had, the bacon, scrambled eggs.
Whole wheat toast, butter.
I don't need the toast.
Jelly.
I'll have some sliced avocado, though.
You can show our order if you want. It's fine. Or maybe he doesn't want to be on. And then,
so, bacon.
Yes. And yeah, just she doesn't want toast. I'll have toast. She's gonna have avocado. And then I'll have a tea with lemon and honey, the herbal tea, and lots of honey and lots of lemon. All right? Thank you. You don't have pancakes, do you?
No, we have only French toast.
Should I do it?
You should do. You already have toast, but switch out, yes. Get French toast instead of regular toast.
I'm gonna get the French toast. Why not?
So no.
Yeah. No toast, but I'll have the French toast as well. Okay, so I don't know what Donald Trump was talking about there and talking about different countries or whatever. But last night, no one talks about his cognitive decline, right? Mm-hmm. He mixed up Ilhan Omar and Jasmine Crockett. Did you hear that part?
I didn't hear that part.
He said that Jasmine Crockett came over from Somalia and demands all these things, basically saying she's not an American. But I have not heard anybody talking about that. Watch this clip.
This Crockett, this is a very low IQ person. And I look at somebody that comes from Somalia where they don't have anything. They don't have police, they don't have military, they don't have anything. All they have is crime. And she comes in and tells us how to run our country. The Constitution says this, the Constitution. The whole thing is crazy.
Okay, so someone that comes from Somalia, why? And they don't have anything, and he's basically saying that Ilhan Omar had nothing when she came here, and then now she is all of a sudden Jasmine Crockett. But I don't understand how and he brought it up, and I told the producers, Monique, make sure that he wasn't talking about, about Ilhan Omar earlier, and so he was just sort of comparing the two. But no, as we went back and looked at the context, he actually brought up, so that's like him mixing up Nancy Pelosi with, I forget who he was mixing Nancy Pelosi with, maybe Nancy Mace, I don't remember, but he was mixing up Nancy Pelosi with someone else. And so what do you think? Do you think that he's got issues that way?
He's been having issues that way. I mean, all throughout the campaign, he couldn't figure out who the last president was, and part of it is his Obama fixation, obviously. He has Obama on the brain, and so that controls a lot of his historical narrative, because for anything that anybody does, if it's Biden, if it's Harris, he's going to say Obama. But he was constantly confusing things. But I've been talking a lot to people who voted for him. And they know that he lies. They know that he confuses things. They know that he's out for himself. And it did not stop them because they're concerned about completely different things.
It was Nancy Pelosi for Nikki Haley. Do you remember that one?
All the women are the same. All the colored girls are the same. Just everybody's the same. Mix it up. He keeps the rich white men straight.
Yeah.
He knows who's in charge at AT&T. He knows who's got Paramount. He has those names. Everybody else is just everybody else.
I'm not sure. I think the soundbite that we were playing, I'm not sure exactly what the name of it was, but here he is again in an interview last night. I think he is talking about what a magnet is. I don't know. It's bizarre. Here it is.
Do in life. I figured things out. But it's so... President Xi was willing to do the rare earth thing, that's magnets. Now, nobody knows what a magnet is. If you don't have a magnet, you don't make a car. You don't make a computer. You don't make televisions and radios and all the other things. You don't make anything. It's a 30-year effort to monopolize a very important thing. Now, within 2 years, we'll have magnets, all the magnets we want, but we don't. Because of tariffs, I called. I said, listen, here's the story. You're going to play the magnet. I'm going to play the tariff on you. And
okay. What?
Covfefe.
Before we go on to talk about what's happening with the Democrats, because Monique and I have been going back and forth on text. She's not exactly happy with me, but we still love each other. I think. I'm not sure. But
That we love each other? Absolutely.
Monique, do you think Donald Trump is going to get into heaven? Do you remember when he was asked if he was going to get into heaven?
Oh, I'm not in between whether God's gonna do. There's always space for repentance. Let me be. We were raised churchy, so I have no idea. I am not in those decisions. I am trying to make absolutely certain I get into heaven, and I am charged of nobody else's heaven or hell. He doesn't think he's getting in. So maybe he should take that as like a way that he can start making some changes late in life. But I have no idea.
Well, he said he was joking about it. I'll play the soundbite. But you remember the old folks used to say, when you say you're going to hell with gasoline drawers on? Here's Donald Trump.
In October, you were asked about ending wars, and you talked about that, and you said, I don't think there's anything that's going to get me into heaven. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. A lot of Christians were sort of sad to hear that, because Christ came to forgive our sins, if you believe that as Christians, and they open heaven to all of us. So don't you believe that?
So the other day, the New York Times did a story and took that statement totally literally. When I made that statement, I was being funny, sarcastic. It's bad for a politician to be sarcastic. I said, I'm never going to make it to heaven. A big old hands. I don't think I can make it. I don't think I qualify, etc. I was kidding. I was having fun. I don't know if I will or not. I don't know. But the Times did a story, a little guy named Peter Baker, who is the sycophant to Obama. He wrote the Obama book, like Obama was a good president. He was one of the worst. Biden was the worst. Obama was top 3 or 4. But think of this. I make this statement, and the Times has a front pager. Donald Trump is now questioning his life and his this and his that. I said to a group of people, a large group, I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm not so sure, but I'm going to fight to me, et cetera, et cetera. I was having fun.
Well, he's definitely not going to go to heaven making fun of Peter Baker size. He's like, little guy, as he always does. He's not going to go to heaven for that.
But that was another Obama thing.
But it was
Peter Baker, because Peter Baker did the book about Obama. He's stuck.
What's his thing with Obama and Biden?
Well, it's definitely more Obama, and it's all the things that we think it is. Here's this first black man, 2-term president, successful, charming, good-looking, beloved, right? Mocked him, which ultimately probably led to him running. I think that would happen at the Correspondents' Dinner. If you look back at somebody's villain arc, his arc started going there because the jokes were made and he just sat there fuming. I saw that video recently, but he can't get over it, and there's nothing that he can do. Like, now he has a second term, and both of his terms were horrible. And people love Obama more now than they did back then. So it's like he's declared his own arch nemesis, and in his head, the notion of a black man having all that power and wielding it successfully is too much. It's a bridge too far.
Yeah. I don't think he realizes just how bad that makes him look. It makes him look small, but he doesn't think so. Every time he says something like that, I'm like, damn, I would never say that. I'd be embarrassed to say that because it's so transparent that you are jealous of that person because you keep bringing them up so much. You know what I'm saying?
You don't speak narcissism. Narcissists are not worried about such things because you're big in your own head. You're gigantic. Everything is about you. And so the way that you see the world is the way that the world is. Like, all he's doing is saying the truth. Of course he's better than Obama. Of course he's bigger. Like, the world is being unfair to him by even paying attention to this failure of a man. Facts don't matter, nothing. I mean, there's a true, like, clinical psychosis going on with his outlook on many things, not just President Obama. You played the clip earlier about what he's saying about the economy and the budget. Oh, it's Democrat lies about the economy. It's just everybody's lying.
Have you seen your utility bill lately?
Everything is. I think that people know exactly what's going on with their wallets and with their own budgets, and that is why hearing him say things like that and watching the way that them having all three branches of government and so spectacularly failing, I think that is the beginning and the ending of my story about what is going to happen over the next 10 months, 11 months of the election.
What do you mean?
I mean that people are going to vote their pockets the way they always do. And they're not fooled by listening to this man say stupid things. Americans are not dumb. They did elect him, though. We have this, and they believed that their pain was going to be fixed by these people who said, give us the ball, and we know how to carry it to the end zone, and we're going to take care of things because money is what we do, economy is what we do, we know how to do this. Now, that's not true. I mean, those were lies. They don't know how to do it. They're spectacularly failing at it. But people were so desperate for a change and in such pain on economic matters that they took a chance. And it's obvious from last Tuesday. They know that wasn't the chance they were supposed to take.
But if we could just go back to 2024 for a minute, because, as I was out there, and I'll be out there today, I just go talk to people, and I don't know what they're going to say. And by all measures, the economy was in better shape when Joe Biden was there, and the prices were coming down when Joe Biden was there, but people didn't feel it. And MAGA people like, I don't feel it, I don't know, or I don't believe it, that's not true, when it really was true. Now, Trump is sort of dealing with something similar, except the economy is actually worse under him, even though gas prices have come down slightly, but maybe people aren't traveling as much, So he's very good at shaping the narrative. He shaped the narrative around in 2024 for the election, and his folks bought it. And there were some Democrats who bought it, some black folks who voted for him, or Latino folks who bought it and voted for him. And now look where they are right now. I wonder how those people feel right now. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about that Democrats in the narrative as it relates to what happened on Sunday night with the Senate shutdown, and then what's happening now, because everyone's saying it's a win, and we're going to talk about that. It's a win for Democrats, but every single person I talk to says, I don't feel like this is a win. I feel like we caved, and nobody hates that word, caved. So we're going to talk about that. First, we're going to get a word in from our sponsors, and we're going to get, there's your avocado, there's my French toast. But first, a word from our sponsors. You know what makes the perfect holiday gift? Well, it's the next sponsor of this show. It's olive oil. It's Graza. Yeah, I am very serious right now. Not the boring kind of olive oil, the Graza kind. Graza makes single origin, super fresh olive oil, never blended, always from the same season's harvest, and you can even see the date right on the bottle. That's why it tastes so clean. They've got great gift sets too. My favorite is the dinner party pack. It comes with a bottle of wine, 2 kinds of olive oil, chips, a corkscrew. It's basically a dinner party in a box, okay? Or go with their duo gift set, which has the sizzle cooking oil and drizzle finishing oil, both in their signature squeeze bottles or in glass. Trust me, this is a kind of gift people actually use. So go to graza.co/Don and use the code for 10% off of your first order. That's graza.co/Don. Graza makes everything taste better and look good doing it. So today's show is sponsored by Lean. All right, look, let's talk real for a second, okay, everyone? Listen, no shame, no nothing here, because I've been through it. We've all tried those fad diets, the juice cleanses, the crazy detoxes. You lose a few pounds and then you gain it right back. Doctors call it weight cycling, and it can really mess with your heart, your liver, even your blood sugar. That's why I like Lean. It's not a fad. It's not a shot. It's not a prescription. It is an oral supplement made by doctors. The science is solid here. So Lean helps balance your blood sugar, control appetite, and turn fat into energy, the kind of energy that keeps you going instead of crashing. So if you're ready to lose weight, at a healthy pace, and actually keep it off, then it's time to try Lean. Perhaps you should try it. Go to takelean.com and use the code LEMON for 20% off of your order. That's TAKELEAN.com. The code is LEMON. Thanks to all of our sponsors.
I hear a new person. I hear a new company.
I'm not complaining. Good morning. Welcome back. Look at this. French toast, scrambled eggs, bacon, and tea. And Monique did no carbs, bacon, scrambled eggs, avocado. Good. That's why you're a baddie.
I'm working on it. I turned 55, so I set some goals.
You are not.
Maybe. Yeah, a couple of Sundays ago. And so 6 months ahead of that, I said, you know what, let's just see what this body can do. Let's get back to what I know actually works. And I feel better than a decade or more.
You do?
I feel fantastic.
And the thing is, people say you can't eat fat. Yeah, you can eat fat. Fat's good for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just have to watch it. In the meantime, my French toast is slathered in syrup, and I want some more butter to put on top of it. And I'm actually going on a beach vacation soon, so I
but your body looks great, so you don't have that struggle.
No. Well, anyways, so I want to play this. This is from Jessica Tarloff over on Fox News, so we can kick off our conversation, and then you can tell me about what I'm missing, what American people should know. Mm-hmm. I'm joking. We have been going back and forth, but most of the time, I'm goosing you, right? So here's Jessica Tarloff talking about Democrats win or loss, or what happened, where Democrats are right now. Listen.
Frustration for a day.
It's going to be way more than a day. So you remember what it was like after he voted to keep the government open back in March, and people thought, okay, well, let's kind of see how this goes. And it did feel actually surrounding this issue in particular that the caucus was feeling decent about his leadership. Yes, he was not the number one surrogate out there on the campaign trail, but Democrats were coming off of a very good electoral week. So the big tent was in, full regalia. I was at a liberal conference on Friday, and people were pretty high on the idea that we were winning races, yes, in some blue states, but also in Mississippi and in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And that, frankly, we were united around the fact that Democrats are the party that cares about people's health care. And that's what this fight was about. And I think the thing that stings the most is that not only the 8 senators who voted for this, but the reporting shows that there are a few more behind the scenes, apparently, that were telling them, please do this for us. We're more vulnerable than you are. Right. And that they didn't think that we were mature enough to hear that argument out loud, for them to come to us and say, these are the reasons we think we should take this deal. And maybe we should have taken it 3 weeks ago even. But right now, I am hearing from constituents that are hungry. I'm hearing from constituents that cannot get to see their families. I am hearing from furloughed employees. So let's hold Senator Thune to his word. And apparently he and Dick Durbin had a conversation before Durbin, pushed this forward, where Thune said, I assure you I will bring this vote in December. That doesn't guarantee Mike Johnson is going to do it, though. But I understand the celebrating. I feel defeated by this. But Republicans still don't have a health care plan. This election will be about health care. If they are on the record again as not wanting to extend these ACA subsidies that mostly benefit their own voters, that is something that Democrats will be very willing and able to run on in 2026. And that'll spell electoral disaster for them. So it's not as if they're fully out of the woods here.
Joey,
Okay, so Monique, she's saying, I understand the celebrating, but I feel deflated. And that's what I'm hearing from people. They feel, I used that exact word last night. I said, so you feel deflated. You'll see it on social media a little bit later on my social media later. But that's what people feel like. I feel deflated. And I say, well, they got SNAP, subsidies, they got the people who are furloughed. You heard her say that, they got back to work. And they're like, well, that doesn't matter. That should have happened. Didn't have to take a shutdown. Those things should never have happened before. This was Donald Trump, MAGA, and the Republicans creating a problem and then pretending they fixed it. So what do you say? Explain to us.
Donald Trump, MAGA, and company they're not fixing anything. They're not even pretending that they're fixing anything. They don't care about the thing that we want fixed. And they never did. I look back at my appearance on your show on October 2nd, when we were in day one of the shutdown. And what I said then is that what the Democrats are doing and the reason why they're doing it kind of like dragging their feet while everybody was saying, shut it down, is because it's very sober and it's very serious to take 2 million people and their families who are employed as part of the federal workforce and know that you stand in between them and eating and paying their mortgage and paying their rent. And these are people, not just whatever people think a staffer is or think executive services. These are people working in cafeterias. You were on the Hill, so you know cafeterias are shut down, right? These are people who work on the streets, who clean in the janitorial service. And for them to not have checks and not have relief in place for the checks that they're missing. And then for some of them, not just to be furloughed, but to be fired, to be riffed. Because as I told you on October 2nd, the entire plan of Russell Vogt and OMB is to reduce the federal workforce. So shutting down the government was a gift for people who don't care about the government being shut down.
So then why did Democrats do it?
Because there were people like you, Don Lemon, like constituents out there who were saying, you can't do what you did in March. You can't just let the government go. You've got to take a stand. This is the only leverage you have. Shut it down. You better do something. Shut it down. You better not cave. Shut it down. You better stop it right here. Chuck Schumer, show some leadership. There were all of these voices saying that this would show that they cared enough to put something on the line and that they weren't just going to cave when the Republicans weren't willing to negotiate for the 8 extra votes that they needed in order to open the government. So what we have to remember now is just like we have the government that we voted for, because these hateful, demonic terrorists who are running the government right now, that's a November 5th decision. That's November 2024, where that got decided, and it got decided by some Americans who are now saying, but the Democrats, but the Democrats, but the Democrats. And that, to me, is the part that's a little cuckoo.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying. That still has not changed my position. If you're going to shut it down, then you need to stick to it.
For how long?
For as long as it takes.
Until January?
Until whenever.
Okay.
It could be January of 2029.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Shut it down.
Let me ask you
because Trump is never going to move unless you really put him in pain.
And I get that that's messaging. And I understand that people are saying that, but what you're saying to me is absurd, because you can't put Trump in pain. There's no, not that way. Not that way, because what was going to happen, Don, was not that we would have a shutdown until January or February or March. What was going to happen is that Trump was going to get exactly what he really wanted out of this in the first place. Leader Thune and the senators who are Republicans were going to give him what he wants, get rid of the filibuster, ram the CR through on 50 votes, and you know what they were going to do after that? They were going to do exactly what he wanted them to do next. They were going to get rid of mail-in voting. They were going to call for voter ID. They were going to get rid of extended voting days and give him just the one voting day that he wants. They were going to get rid of anything that looks like the Voting Rights Act, even though it's already gutted.
Why did you do it? Even if you have people calling for it, why did you do it? If you knew, and Democrats, these people have been in politics for a long time. Chuck Schumer certainly knew that going into this. Certainly, any one of the longtime Democrats have known that going into this. Certainly Hakeem Jeffries knew that going into this. Yeah. So then if they are such leaders and such strategists and they understood that, why didn't they explain that to the American people? And the people were saying, shut it down, and then just not do it? Because now you have this sort of whiplash and people go, oh, wait a minute, you had the momentum, you had this, and nothing. So, and here we are.
So here's the thing. I don't think the blue wave is nothing. I think it's significant. I think it is directly because of not just the shutdown and the sacrifice of the millions of employees who went without and are right now still going without money. Yeah. I think it was because the healthcare issue and the Republicans' refusal to do anything about it for even their own constituents has become a number one talked about issue in terms of awareness. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that in November, Democrats were saying, I was saying, you were saying, everybody was saying over and over again, Kamala Harris certainly was saying, if you elect this man, then your health care benefits are going to skyrocket and ultimately 20 million people are going to go without insurance. If you elect this man, he's going to have an enemies list. If you elect this man, he's going to attack our own government. If you elect this man, all of that was out there. Yeah. And he's in there anyway, and they're doing it anyway. But what we got in the past 40 days, first of all, is what you just finished explaining. Across states where we don't even normally win, we're winning. And that's not just, to me, voters saying, stick with the shutdown. We'll vote for you, Democrats, if you stick with the shutdown. That's voters saying we want different elected officials who are not going to inflict pain upon us, and we now know what we need to do.
Okay, let me ask you, do you think the outcome would have been different if the government wasn't shut down on Tuesday?
I think we would have had a wave, but I don't think it would have been as much as it was. I think kind of the veracity, the ferociousness of the waves were because people were seeing in real time, wait a minute, okay, we didn't vote for this. The MTGs of the world who clicked, oh wait, my son's health care, that's the health insurance that's going to skyrocket, not just those other people, and that's legitimate.
Okay.
So
I hear you.
Yeah, I think when people say, did we get something out of it? I think we got something significant out of it. I'm not about we won, we lost. Once I do kind of agree with Joe Scarborough that people should take the victory for the things that they did get. So securing SNAP benefits for 42 million people until the end of 2026, which means that OMB can't play these games with them. That's
you couldn't
a win.
have gotten that in a normal negotiation without shutting the government down?
You weren't going to get it, though. That's why it was happening. Mm-hmm. So that happened. Getting people who were riffed because OMB is lawless, having the requirement that they come back to work, which the president is now about to sign.
But when the government wasn't shut down, they were working.
When the government wasn't shut down, they were working, they were not fired, and the law is supposed to protect them such that when OMB or the executive branch does something that's illegal, like firing them, that they get their jobs back. But that takes months. It could take a year. And in the meantime, they're suffering. So what they got out of this deal that's about to happen is that those people who were riffed are coming back immediately. Okay. So when people ask about Tim Kaine, that's something he cares about because that's a huge number of Virginians that were affected by reduction in force.
Okay, then. So then why are Democrats, you said you don't like to look at this in terms of wins and losses. So then why are the Democrats out there saying, we won? Everyone swimming up there, including Tim Kaine, saying this is a win for American people, said that on Sunday night. And they said it all day yesterday. And then you have the news anchor saying this is a win. If you're saying you don't choose to look at it in terms of wins or losses.
I think you have to balance it because of the things you just said. People feel deflated because they were hoping for more and they were hoping for the thing that we need the most, which is for a change in the healthcare tax extension credits. They need the ACA to be fixed. And so while I do think that for the circumstance that we were in, negotiating with terrorists who will kill their own before they will give you anything, and that's just what they are, that's who they are. You know, Don, I graduated from law school in 1997. I've had over 45 jury trials. I've negotiated 40 settlements of 7-figure settlements on plaintiff and defense side. I have crisis managed negotiated settlements with real people hostage. And what I am trying to say is, when you're mediating, you have to know when you have gotten all you're going to get and when it's time to walk away from the table. Now, these 7 Democrats pissed off their own party because they refused to wait for the party to make that decision together. They negotiated behind their backs. They weren't in favor of the shutdown from the beginning. And so they went their own way, did their own thing.
How do you feel about that?
I think that that was wrong. I think that they should have moved as a unit, and they should have given those of us out here who would have maybe been willing to try to start explaining to people ahead of time, explaining to our following, look, we've gotten all we're going to get out of this. People are hurting. People are in pain. There's about to be an exit ramp, and we need to be prepared for that. Those 7 Democrats and that 1 independent, they didn't do that. They went their own way. But when people say, and that's why Schumer, I mean, I don't care anything about Chuck Schumer. He's had a great career. He'll be okay. If he's leader, if he's not, if he's in the seat, if he's not, he'll be all right.
Do you want him to stay or you want him to go?
I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
That's not the focus, right? We got to win right now. And what the people are saying, though, is he should have been able to control his members. And what I try to remind people is, but wait a minute. When that other side is lockstep, like they're Stepford senators and Stepford representatives, which they are, they have no brain of their own, they have no independent thought, they don't vote their conscience, they don't vote the cares of their own constituents. People are pissed off about that too.
So,
what do you want? You want independent thinking members who care about what's happening to their own constituents or not?
So I want to know then this. It sounds to me like what you're saying is that Donald Trump is a king, that he's a dictator, that Democrats cannot negotiate with him. Not only, there's no negotiating, there's no nothing. It's just all you have to do, you have to bend the knee. You have to do what the media companies are doing. You have to do what the politicians are doing. And so there's no way that Democrats are ever going to win with Donald Trump.
That's the opposite of what I'm saying. It's obvious we're going to win.
There's no way the country is ever going to win.
Well, the country won last Tuesday. That's the opposite of what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
we have the power of the vote, and we have the power of the pocket. If you want to win with those people,
that I agree
you've got to
with.
have things on the line that they care about. They care about the money.
Yeah.
Everything begins and ends with, they do not care about humans. And so when you have Democrats who care about human beings, like if you died or I died tomorrow, every member of the Democratic Party would be like, oh, and Don Lemon contributed and Monique contributed and we're thankful for their whatever and whatever. And that asshole in the White House would be like, they never liked me anyway.
Yeah.
So when you have that kind of divide where you have lawless people who don't give a damn about anybody but a very small group of powerful people with means, and they have that kind of agenda, then you got to get what you can. And that's what I believe this hostage negotiation was. We had federal workers, millions
people are
of them.
tired of getting what they can. I think the Democrats need some of that, I wouldn't say lawlessness, but they need some of that where, you know, the Republicans were banking on Democrats to do exactly what they did, saying, you know, people are losing pay and it's not going to, because Democrats have their heart, they have compassion. I understand that, but you have to have some people, hang on one second, you and I can have compassion, right? The folks watching can have compassion. I don't necessarily want my leaders to have compassion. I want my leaders to fucking win. I don't care if and I want them to win by, like Malcolm X says, by any means necessary. And so, as I said in the open of the show, it took decades for the civil rights movement to pass. And it wasn't just 40 days. And I know people are suffering, but there are things that we can do to help people, especially Democrats can find things to do to help people.
Were we?
That's the point. But that's my point. We should be. Democrats should be.
You can't pay federal government workers. It's illegal.
Yeah, but you can't pay federal workers, but you can sponsor a family. You can help. You can do something. Someone can help to find a job for someone. I don't know exactly what you can do.
They were hostages. And I think that the cowering of the shoulders with people are suffering needs to be people are suffering.
Yes, but can we not have every time Democrats go, oh, wow,
They work for those people.
What do you mean they work for those people?
The people who who are suffering, they represent
No, I understand
them.
that. You're missing what I'm saying.
It's not
you have
just
to have some people that have compassion, but I want the leaders, I want the leader, whoever is in charge of the Democratic Party and whoever is in charge of the Democratic Party in the Congress and in the Senate, I want them to be fucking ball busters. I want them to tell Donald Trump, I am not blinking, motherfucker, until you give us what we want, and we're not going to settle for the crumbs. I'm sorry, that's what I want from them, and that's what the American people want right now.
I represent 100 people, and 80 of them are starving. And what I'm doing is saying, fuck you, Donald Trump. I am not representing the 80 people.
No,
I am
that's simplifying
failing.
it, though.
It's not. It is real simple. You don't represent America as a representative. You don't represent America as a senator. You represent your constituency, your state, or your district, and you are obligated.
I feel like if we had that mindset during the civil rights movement, when people were losing their jobs, when people were being hanged and brutalized and beaten, and dogs were being sicked on them, and hoses were being turned on them, if we had done that, we wouldn't be here right now, even in this moment, to be able to fight back against this.
And I think that we still have every opportunity to be the wealthier, smarter if we can, civil rights movement. We have the opportunity, but every time you say that, and I heard you when I was listening ahead of time, and when you go back and look at the history, it wasn't members of Congress who were doing that.
Right.
They have a job to legislate. We in the streets gave power to the seats so that we could get the legislation.
But now you're getting at what I'm talking about. But you needed the folks who are in those positions to have a backbone, and then those of us who are in the streets can do what we can to help all of those people.
They didn't have backbone, Don. They had votes.
Okay.
And so we
don't have the votes because they don't have a backbone. They haven't had a backbone.
That's not why.
Okay, go on.
Listen, because we got ACA because of votes. Barely. But it was because of votes, right? We got the Voting Rights Act because of vote. We got the Civil Rights Act because of votes. We got what I hope will come back to us, rights to women's bodies and rights to fair wages because of executive action and because of votes. In the streets is where the movement is. And if people want to say, we're not buying anything for Thanksgiving, it's coming. Get ready, economy.
I agree with that.
We're not buying anything for Christmas, it's coming. If we're going to be boycotting because that's how we show our power, then what that does is make for the type of movement on the home. But I need my legislators to pass laws. I don't need them to be screwing over their own constituents to make a point. When you look at the federal workforce, and you see how that is one of the ways that black people came to own land. That is the way we got educations. That is the way we built generational wealth, which we're now losing and losing and losing. Then you know why white supremacists, like who's running OMB right now, want to kill the federal workforce. Because that's how you get over 300,000 black women without jobs. And that's not just about we don't like black women. That is about we are targeting black economy. We are targeting black wealth. We are targeting black middle class. That is what this represents. Russell Vogt said point blank, I want to cause as much trauma to federal employees as possible so that they do not want to work. That's what he said. And that's exactly what's happening. I don't want to be on the side of helping that.
But how do we get here? How did we get here? How did we get to Russell Vogt, which is just came in office?
Well,
I don't
for the second time.
I don't believe that we have more votes during the civil rights movement, during the time of Jim Crow than we have now. I don't believe that we had more votes then. I could be wrong. I'm just relating to you the sentiment of the people on the streets. And I agree with you. The movement is among the people. And I think that there is more that each of us can do, all of us can do, to help each other out. And that's what we did. We have to remember what we've done. The rule book has already been written. History shows us what we need to do. And right now we're not doing it. I tell people all the time, comfort is a poison. Right? Everyone wants to be comfortable. Everyone wants to do this. Everyone's afraid of losing something. there is no, what did Nicole say last night? That was with Nicole Hannah-Jones. She said, it's not courageous if there isn't fear. We have to, it's good for us to be afraid. Because if you work through that, if you persevere, then that becomes, right, courageous. That you have to do things that you don't normally do. So we have to do things in a different way that we don't normally do them. Maybe we shouldn't look at it so strategically about this vote. Maybe we should look at it and say, I'm standing here and I'm not moving until you move, and we'll figure out how to help those other people. I'm not a politician, I can't do that. I don't know exactly what to do, but I'm here to listen, I'm here to go to a meeting, I'm here to figure out how I can sponsor a family or two, how I can pay somebody's light bill, how I can help somebody pay somebody's medical bills. There's enough rich people in this country to do it. There are enough Robert Johnsons to be able to do that. There are enough Oprahs, there are enough Tyler Perry's, there's enough wealthy people to be able to help those of us in need, so that we live in a country where we have a democracy and not one man and one party dictating to us everything that we can do. And then we're saying, oh, well, we're happy to have these little crumbs where we can go back to work under the same conditions and no health care.
Right, and I saw Tyler Perry come forward with $1.5 million, right, that went into.
I'm not saying nobody's not doing it. I'm just using that as an example. And Tyler is very philanthropic, and he's very.
But to me, what that is really an example of is, and I'm thankful for people when they do that.
Right.
But I think what people miss is it has to be all of us. It doesn't have to be equal giving. It has to be equal sacrifice in order for that to work.
100%.
And so what I put in my post was, if the country believes, or if those who want democracy believe that what's standing between us and it is continuing the shutdown, then I need 2 million people in the country to give their checks. Because 2 million people have been chosen to go without their checks. Or we need the amount that 2 million families needs in order for that to be sustained. Not with them going in food lines. Because it's disgusting to me to have people who are currently employed by the wealthiest country in the world to be in a food bank line to survive while they are gainfully employed, while they are educated, while they're doing everything they're supposed to do. And those of us who don't, they're there. Let's do something for them.
Yeah.
That is so insulting to me.
Yes.
When they should never be in that position.
We have to do something. And just look, I'm just using those people as an example of Black excellence.
Yes.
Who can, right? So I'm not saying that they don't do anything. They do a lot. Right. Tyler is one of the most philanthropic people I know.
Right. I mean, I know you know that, but I'm saying it shouldn't just be them.
Right.
I'm saying, because every time something happens, we talk in the Black community, call Tyler, call Oprah.
No, but I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there are enough lawyers, there are enough doctors, there are enough people that, there are enough Huxtables in the world. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Who can help. We should all be doing something so that we don't have to live under this. And then perhaps that will create a fire or some sort of passion, even more, right, for the momentum that came out of last Tuesday. For the momentum that we were on that came from No Kings. Like, we have to keep that. I hope that we can keep that. And look, I'm saying that not as a Democrat, but as someone who cares about this country. And I'm tired of people, especially us, because we're always the ones. We always get the short end of the stick. We're always affected the most. All of those, like many of those federal workers, they were Black people.
Yeah.
Right? And many of the people who are losing, who don't have health care and all, they're Black people.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of us just getting the crumbs, because we're like, and I blame leadership on that. A lot of that is on leadership, who should not have taken us through this entire exercise if they knew that what you're saying, if they knew the outcome. They shouldn't have even done this, because that's like, you get someone's hope up, right? Ooh, I'm going to get a bicycle for Christmas. And then all of a sudden it comes and you got a coloring book. You're like, well, where's my bicycle?
But you have to. But a negotiation is a negotiation.
I know.
And sometimes I hear people saying that they think that if the leaders knew that they had a chance of not winning, that they shouldn't have tried.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's true either. I think that they got as much as they could out of it, and they put it to the test, and we saw exactly how unfeeling, how hateful the other side is, and their constituents saw it too. But you know what else is about to happen? As much as we hate it, their constituents are about to get those premium doubles. Their constituents are about to be sick, or about to be dying, just like everybody else, everybody who's going without. In the 20 million that are going to be doing without their health insurance, it's disproportionately white folks,
Yeah.
red states, poor folks. And so they're going to have their own kind of come to Jesus moment where they realize that this party that claims to know and love Jesus ain't doing a thing for Jesus.
Yeah.
Ain't doing a thing. Whatsoever you do for the least of my brothers, that you do for me. They ain't doing nothing for Jesus. They don't want to do nothing for Jesus. They only want to do something for themselves.
Oh boy, hold on one second. I'm just giving it. This is how I communicate with the producers. So listen, Michael Fanonis texted me. He says, "So what is her plan? Wait until 2026, which may never happen."
Yeah. So even this, like, what is my plan? I think that is actually a very good question, because I think the people who do a lot of talking for a living, of which I am one, I think sometimes we talk just to talk, and the talking isn't advocacy, right? And so we'll say to the Senate leadership or to the House, do something. They need to do something. We voted them in there to do something. And I'll say, well, they're in circumstances we've never been in before, and they're negotiating with terrorists. So the do something has to be figured out on the fly. I don't think that we wait until 2026, but I think, frankly, Mike, that the fact that, at least for this week, the filibuster is still in place saves the possibility of elections in 2026. I agree with him about the threat of there being no free and fair elections anymore if Trump has his way. I think the fact that we got a budget without losing a filibuster means, at least until December, that they can't go in and decide that we need voter ID and that people who are living in another country don't get to vote anymore unless they're very sick. Did you hear where that idiot said that? Unless they're very sick or they're military, they don't get to vote anymore. So his desire to cement his kingship and to not have elections means that right now, 2026 needs to be our focus. Not getting rid of Chuck Schumer, not primarying the 7 people who didn't vote and put the government back and gave people their money back, but winning. Every day, we need to be gaining as many people as possible with an understanding that the road to 2026 has already started. So support the NAACP, support Black Voters Matter, support organizations that are on the ground, that are building up coalitions of voters who are trying to get people off of the couches. Listen, they're going to do enough damage to their own constituents that they can worry about the red states. They're in trouble. And they're in trouble in other ways. They're failing on the economy. So I think right now, every single day, we have to be doing what I'm trying to do here today. Get us focused on the prize and not worried about what, unfortunately, is yesterday's news, which is what that vote was.
Well, we're still living it. It's not signed yet.
It's not signed, which means as of now, people are still in jeopardy and people are still suffering.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have an appointment.
Yeah.
You have forgotten about it. You got to go.
No, I told them I'm good as long as I'm hard out by 11:35.
Okay, you're good. You're good. So let me just say this. This is the kind of conversations that we're going to have. If you're in New York on November 18th, I want you to come by City Winery. I'm having, Jen Welch from I've Had It. So it's Jen Welch, me, Anthony Scaramucci. If you want to come, you can be a special guest. And we have other special guests coming. But these are the kind of conversations we're going to have. People love this conversation.
Yeah.
This is what we should be doing, right?
Yeah.
Because without like yelling at each other. I hate the yelling at each other I see on TV. I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
but
I think
we were never like that.
No.
Even when you were on TV, you weren't like that.
No.
You were always welcoming to us, respectful of different opinions, and disagreeing without being disagreeable. And I do believe that that's why, frankly, you're as successful as you are, which I'm a lemon head, so I'm partial, but I think that that's why, because you do this.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you, even though we don't agree always. But that's the fun of it. So come by City Winery. It's going to be us. Doors open at 6. The show starts at 7:30. That's on November 18th. City Winery. Don Lemon, Jennifer Welch, Anthony Scaramucci. Maybe Monique Presley will be there. We don't know. And then on December 8th, DL Hughley and I are going to be at City Winery in Philadelphia. And on December 10th, DL and I will be in Chicago. I mean, this is like a world tour, right?
I love it. Every last bit of it.
So, look, if you want to know anything about the Don Lemon Show, you can check us out. Go to donlemon.com. That's donlemon.com. And you can check us out. Our YouTube page is there. You can subscribe. You can become a member. Subscriptions are free. Also, What else did I want to say? Oh, you can check out our merch store too. If you go to donlemon.com and click on merch, I got some new stuff. Wait till you get it. I'm going to have to send you something.
I want some merch.
You want some merch? We didn't even call each other.
We're head to toe in a uniform.
Same thing.
Jeans and black shoes.
Same thing.
Because this is serious.
Because, yeah, we got to.
Yeah. And we're like, fight the power. We got to be in solidarity.
Be informed go have a frank conversation with someone like this today. Figure out what you can do. I'm still mad. I'm just mad. But I have to channel that anger into something, okay? So anyways, be informed without being inundated until I see you back here at 5 p.m. Eastern time, if not before, on the Don Lemon Show, the Don Lemon channel. I'm about to go out and talk to people. I got to go do some man on the street to get a consensus of how people are feeling out there. So until I see you then, Monique, where do we get you?
Monique Presley, everywhere, at Monique Presley and Monique Presley channel.
Yeah. Okay, so turn the TV off. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.